Well, let's see what's happening here. What do you know? Well, I'm just going to hang out for a little bit. I'm in between some coursework right now. And right now, the Tuesday client schedule was clear. So I thought I'd just take a little time and hang out a little bit. If someone's got a question, just drop it in the chat and I'll take a look. Meanwhile, I'm going to just talk a little bit about, for anyone who wants to know, there's a really interesting article that came out in Nature. I'm sorry, no, not Nature. Where is this? Anyway, it's about the, oh yeah, it is Nature. Anyway, it was the unexpected events and pro-social behavior. It's called the Batman Effect. And it's really interesting. So it was kind of a fly on the wall experiment. And I believe it was in the UK. I can't remember. It's been a little over a week since I first read through this. And then I got a little under the weather. So, but in any event, it's really cool. The long and short of it is they were kind of a fly on the wall, and they watched people on mass transit on I believe it was on a train. And yeah, and let's see if I can bring it up. Let's see. Share the screen. It's really interesting. There we go. And they talk about, where is it? There we go. Study was conducted in Milan, underground metro system. So yeah, trains. So they had two groups. They had a control group, and they had a group they were watching. The control group was simply people going about their normal day-to-day business, and who would give up their seat and who wouldn't. And it's really interesting. And you can, I'll link this in the notes below. Sample size, 50% increase in experimental conditions. So what happened was they took these people and they watched them. And when someone needed a seat, it was a woman, an elderly person, someone with a baby, and they would see who would give up their seat for this person, this elderly person, this mother. And the interesting part was, so many would give up their seats, so many wouldn't. The statistics are all in the article. But the number went way up when unspoken, unsaid, just the presence of a guy in a Batman suit. They call it the Batman effect. When he was just present in the room, the numbers went up of people that would then give up their seat. And I thought it was pretty fascinating. Now, what's all this got to do with what you eat, when you eat, what's your activity, what's your sleep like, what are your hormones doing? What's the Batman effect got to do with that? And I find it really interesting that something so seemingly subtle, seemingly minute would be, as big a news as it is. It's very cool. What's it got to do with anything? Awareness. And they talk about the mindfulness that people take on. And one of the four pillars that I take with clients and with any students is, four pillars. One is the food that you eat, your nutrition. The second pillar is going to be your activity and your exercise, both formal and non-formal exercise. Your sleep and rest is pillar number 3, because that has a huge impact on hormone balance, so many things. And number 4 is mindset and how you approach all. And these things, they all work together to so wherever you get on this merry-go-round is great, just as long as you get on. Then you'll find that all these things, they work together. That's why it's synergy. But the mindfulness aspect of it, being aware, in that experiment, it was so cool that, one of the things that you can't really account for is the individual's interpretation or intent. Do they see Batman as a fighter of injustice, an enforcer, someone who's going to get you if you're a bad guy, if you break the rules? Do they see him as the protector, as someone who is for the downtrodden, and he's going to make sure people are kept safe? Or is it a little bit more, the nobler intent of, he is just this force of a higher standard, and he's there to impress upon people and encourage a higher standard, in that case of justice and social justice, ethics, doing the right thing. So the presence of a higher standard, or the presence of that, if you're aware of it, makes a difference. They saw in the numbers. When someone didn't see that, didn't notice it because he wasn't there, they would just went about their business. When they saw that this image, this icon, this representation of that higher standard, or that enforcer, or that protector was there, they took note of that, and they actually shifted their behavior and their mindset in direct response to that. So what does that mean for us? I liken that to, would you really eat that extra, would you go steal that cookie if your spouse was standing right there next to you? Would you say, well, it's not a big deal if I have a little bit of that? If your coach is right there with you, it's like, it makes a big difference. Would you cheat on that last on the last 3 reps of your set and just kind of phone it in if your fitness coach was right there with you? Probably not, because they're there representing, hopefully not an enforcer. Hopefully they're there to encourage and protect, and to be that higher standard of, hey man, I know you got more in you. So I really think this was such an interesting study in the psychology, the social behavior aspect of that, because it really does play a part in your health journey and in your wellness. If you're aware of things, if you're aware of behaviors that you have, habits when it comes to eating, when you eat, of course, what you eat, but when you eat, when you don't eat, if you do any kind of intermittent fasting, we're all prone to fudge the numbers. Yeah, I did an 18-hour fast. No, you did a 15-hour fast, and then you started to sneak a little bit of this here and a little bit of this here, and maybe things that actually did break your fast. Or, maybe you didn't do all the reps, or you didn't do it all with proper form. And sometimes you want to fudge the numbers, and sometimes you're just like, I don't care, and I'll be totally honest with you, Mrs. Coach. I'll just be honest. I didn't do it, and you know what? I enjoyed, getting off the wagon for me. I don't fall off the wagon. I choose to get off the wagon, and I chose to. So it's very cool to see what happens when there's that awareness of that higher standard, that presence. And that goes for any of those 4 pillars. If you want to be aware, nobody's perfect. Or like a great calligrapher that I used to know, he would write these beautiful scripts, and he was quite the artist with it. But my favorite one, it was a little, greeting card size, and it was beautiful. And then it had a big ink blotch in the bottom of it, and it said in scripty letters, "Po body's nerfect." So I just, nobody's perfect. Nobody's going to do everything exactly right all the time. But when you're aware of what those standards are, you may not meet that standard today, but the standard's still there. And you just have to accept where you are and you're in the process of striving for that standard. And that's what this Batman effect proves out. And I'd highly encourage you to read that and get into a little bit of the social science of this stuff, because it affects every bit of that. It affects who you are, what you do. So look into the Batman effect. Like I said, I'll link the notes. And then just kind of go down the list. How does this affect? How does, what do I need to be aware of? And how does that affect my diet and my food choices? How does it affect my food timing? What's the standard for the activity that I would like to do? What are my goals? And then what are the process steps for that? And embrace that process. And then be aware of what that standard is. Hey, I didn't make it today, but I'm honest with myself, and the goal is still there. Batman is still over in the corner, protecting me and holding me to a higher standard. How does that work with your sleep and your recovery and your rest? Being aware that somewhere different studies, 60 to 70% of your metabolic resetting, your hormonal resetting happens while you're asleep. These metabolic processes happen while you're sleeping. So if you are skimping on your sleep, you're skimping on your metabolic healing. And there's so many things I could go down a rabbit hole with that. Get your sleep, and look up Matt Walker's book, Why We Sleep. Great resource. But what's the standard for sleep? What's your standard for your sleep routine, your sleep, what they call sleep hygiene? Look into things like that. And yeah, it's never going to be perfect. I listened to something the other day. Ben Azadi was talking about food timing. And yeah, you want to stop eating. If this is my bedtime at 10 o'clock, I want to have the last bit of food to go in my mouth no later than 7 o'clock. 6 o'clock or even 5 p.m., 5 hours prior would be like ideal. But he said, he's on the road, he's flying here, flying there, doing the speaking engagements and getting with other folks. And he says, yeah, sometimes I don't get off the plane until late, and then I got to eat something. And yeah, sometimes I'm having dinner at 9:30 at night, and it is what it is. It doesn't change the standard. Batman's still in the corner, but you're aware of it, and I'm gonna keep that standard, and I'm gonna keep going. How does that affect with your mindset? Well, hopefully it's self-explanatory, but to know that there are these standards, and to know how they apply to you, and to know how you can exercise those. Yeah, I've heard this a long time ago, and with my clients, I deal the same way. Set a goal, and there's different ways of setting a goal. But set the goal, reverse engineer it, figure out the steps to get to that goal. Know where you are. You have to start there. Set a goal, reverse engineer it to get the steps and the milestones in place. Embrace that. Forget the goal, and then embrace the process. That way, you don't have the all or nothing mentality. But then you've got a stair-step progressive process that you can lean into. And yeah, when things go a little off plan, Batman is still in the corner. That goal and that process to get to the goal, that's Batman standing in your corner saying, I'm going to protect you. I'm going to be there for you. So anyway, that's about really all I wanted to discuss tonight. And if anybody needs anything, I am certainly available. I've got some space in the client calendar. Still doing some coursework, but always working with people, working them in, figuring that out. And I've also got an online event coming up in the 1st of January. We're going to be talking about getting some metabolic momentum. And what does that mean? That means everyone talks about their New Year's resolutions and how they want to, they're going to hit the gym, and then they never do. And that's why gyms are full on January 2nd, and they're empty by February 1st. So a lot of people don't understand the relationship of exercise to diet, to rest and recovery, to mindset. And so we're just kind of fill in some of those gaps, do some broad strokes, go a little bit deeper into some of them, and just give people a framework where they can go into 2026 with some momentum and then carry that momentum even further. So it's going to be a lot of cool stuff that we discuss there, and we would love to have you join us January 5th through 8th. And we'll be an online event, and the details, you can go to phdsynergy.com, and there's a big banner. You can get all the deets. So anyway, with that, like I said, I'm going to put the notes, put the link to this Batman Effect article in the notes. Take a look at it. Break it down a little bit more. There's a lot in there. I just kind of hit the highlights. There's a lot in there, and a lot that you can glean from that for your health journey. And then if you got questions or you want to discuss it further, just hit me up on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook, and also at phdsynergy.com. We've got a community where you can actually drop me a message there too. So anyway, with that, we're going to get back to some studying. So always being a nerd. So anyway, we'll talk to you soon.